Okay, so for people nowadays, we actually are really concerned about our health. So from like some people they do annual health checkup, some they really take care of their lifestyle habits, some they take in supplements and healthy food or is very active in sports in order to help them to achieve health. But actually in order to achieve a healthy body, there is something else that we need, which is reducing electron. So for today, I would like to share on how reducing electron can help you to regain your health. And the information for today's sharing is actually all from the research done by the inventor of reducing electron, and also he is the first president of Reduction Electron Medical Science Research in Japan, which is Dr. Nobuo Horiguchi. So for today's sharing is all based on the research and the results that he has obtained throughout the years, and then I've compiled it into these few slides in order to let you to understand more about reducing electron and your health. So before we can understand how reducing electron help us to regain our health, we need to understand our own body first. So why do we get sick? Virus and bacteria is everywhere, so you are always exposed to them. But why do some people get sick easily? Some do not. Okay, so actually sickness is caused by a lot of factors, and for these factors we can actually divide them into two groups. The first group is external surrounding, which means that these factors cannot be controlled by ourselves. It's already happened in the natural environment that we cannot take control of. The second group is internal surrounding, which means that we can actually control them ourselves. So what are the factors include in these both groups? I will now share to you. So for the external surrounding, which I've mentioned that we cannot control by ourselves, it includes air pollution, electromagnetic force, electrostatic force, and UV rays. And it also contains a lot of other pollution as well, but I've just listed a few here. So all these factors are actually happening in our natural environment that we cannot control. We cannot control how much air pollution that can occur. We cannot control how strong the UV rays that we want. So all these things is in nature. It happen in their own nature. Okay, so we know we put them under external surrounding. For internal surrounding, which can be controlled by ourselves, includes our emotions, the food that we take in, the sleep, like our sleep quality, the exercise, our activeness, electron balance of our body, and also stress, which is normally ignored by a lot of people because we cannot see our own stress. Okay, so all of these things actually can be controlled by ourselves. We can control our own emotion, we can control what we take in, we can control our sleep time, and whether we exercise or not. All these things can be controlled, so it's listed under internal surrounding. So how does reducing electron help you to regain health in the sense of all the factors that I've mentioned? So you can refer to the picture here. You can see the right side is disease, and left side, the blue color one, is actually a healthy body. So we look at the disease one first. You can see that the title there is very big. It stated that positive ions. So why do a person get sick? Is because of they have a lot of positive ions in their body. Positive ions can be accumulated by a lot of factors, like including the ones that I've mentioned just now: pollution, UV rays, radiation, the food, and everything that we take in. It may cause accumulation of positive ions in our body. So once our body has a lot of positive ions, it will actually lead to ionic imbalance, which means that our body do not have a balance of electron. So when this occur, it will actually make our body pH acidified. And for body pH, because it is very important for our cells to survive, once our body pH is in acidic, it is not suitable for our cells to live in, and so it will affect our cells as well. So it will lead to oxidation and a lot of diseases, for example, cramped shoulders, wrinkled skin, excessive sensitivity to the cold, arteriosclerosis, and also a lot of illness that we see nowadays. So the factors of getting sick is because of the accumulation of these positive ions, and our body does not have electron balance. So how does reducing electron help us to maintain health? So you can see the left side, the healthy body. When we have reducing electron, you can see that we actually achieve a ionic balance, which means that our body have electron balance. And when this occur, our body pH will be converted into weak alkaline. So during this weak alkaline body pH, our cells are able to survive because it is suitable for them to live in. And so the oxidized substances will also be reduced. Okay, and after that, we will be able to maintain a healthy body. So all the problems that I mentioned just now may be improved or reduce the pain, like elimination of the lactic acid so that your shoulders will not be pain, anti-aging effect, increased immunity, and increased natural healing power. So when all this occurs, we are able to maintain a healthy body. It's because of we have reducing electrons in our body to help us to achieve electron balance. So for lifestyle habits, it will also lead to sickness as well. So you can see this picture, same like the previous one. There is health and illness. So we will look at the illness first. So like I mentioned just now, nowadays we are exposed to factors that will cause us sickness, such as environmental pollution, UV radiation, electromagnetic waves, and etc. So these factors will actually cause accumulation of acid and reactive oxygen in our body. So when we have all these acid and reactive oxygen, it will affect our cell as well. So you can see our cell performance will become poor, our cell will age, become old, and then slowly they will die. So it will also lead to the poor cell metabolism and also affect our body system. For example, our autonomic nervous system, hormone system, immunity system, all these kind of system will be affected indirectly as well. So after all these things happen, it will lead us to illness, which includes a lot, like I mentioned just now, shoulder cramps, headaches, and a lot of illness. But if we have reducing electron, so you can see the left side, it will help us to eliminate the acid and reactive oxygen. So when we do not have a lot of acid and reactive oxygen in our body, our cell will be able to maintain in a healthy state. So our cells will be activated and rejuvenated. When this happens, our cell metabolism will be improved, and also our body system will be able to function normally. So include the autonomic nervous system, hormone system, our immunity will be strong as well. So when this occurs, our body will be able to overcome sickness. So the most important information here is we need to make sure that our cells are always in a healthy state, because when we have healthy cells, our body will be healthy also. So in order to keep our cells to be healthy, we need to eliminate the factors which will damage or affect our cell, which is acid and reactive oxygen. So who can help us to eliminate them is reducing electron. So besides that, reducing electron also have a lot of effects towards our human body. So like I mentioned, our body will accumulate acid, oxidized substances, and reactive oxygen. So when our body has all of these things, it will actually bring sickness to us. However, you can see here, when we induce reducing electron into our body, it will convert the acid into weak alkaline, which is suitable for our cells to live in. And oxidized substances, they will reduce them, which means return them into their original form, and also convert reactive oxygen to water, which is harmless to our body. So when our body is in this state, it will be able to maintain in a healthy state, and also help us to overcome sickness. So for the mechanism of reducing electron is actually very important, very easy and also very important. So you can see here, when our body accumulates positive ions, which in this case we call it as a hydrogen ion, and you can see it consists of a positive charge. So our body fluid will be acidified when we have a lot of these hydrogen ions. This will also lead to the oxidization and cell damage, which will then lead us to develop illness such as cancer, heart disease, kidney disease, a lot of different type of illness. However, when we induce reducing electron into our body, you can see because of reducing electron, they consist of a negative charge. So it will help us to neutralize the positive charge from the positive ions and convert them into a neutral charge atom, which we call it as a hydrogen atom. So when we have a hydrogen atom in our body fluid will be maintained at weak alkali pH, which I've already mentioned that is very suitable for our cells to live and survive in. So it will enhance our cell activity and help us to achieve health. So you need to understand that the reducing electron is to help us to neutralize the positive ions and convert them into an atom, which is very useful and beneficial to our body. Okay. So like I mentioned just now, a reducing electron will convert positive ions into hydrogen atoms. So hydrogen atoms actually consist of one reducing electron in one atom. So when this occurs and when our body have a lot of these hydrogen atom, this atom will actually help us to go and do the following process. Like I mentioned, convert acid into weak alkaline, oxidize substances into their original form, which we know as a reduced substance, and also reactive oxygen into water, which is harmless to our body. So when our body achieve all these kind of things, it will be able to maintain in a healthy state. So for the progression and also the progression of sickness is actually a cycle, a bad cycle in our body. If we realize that one day we get sick and then suddenly the sickness get worse. So this is what actually happened in our body. So we all know that we use food and supplements to give our body nutrients. So when we intake any food or supplements, when it goes into our body, it is actually in a reduced form, which is their original form. We want all of the food and supplements to be in this form because it consists of electrons, which is very beneficial to our body because our body needs this electron to maintain the health of our cells. However, let's say our body today is not good. We have a lot of reactive oxygen accumulated in our body. So what will happen is the reactive oxygen will take the electron from the food, the vitamins or the supplements that we eat to help them to neutralize and eliminate them out of our body because our body doesn't want this reactive oxygen. So what it will do is it will use the electron from the food or vitamins to help us to eliminate the reactive oxygen. So when the vitamins or food loses their electrons, they will become oxidized form. And what will happen when they become oxidized form? Because they are lack of electrons. So they will go to our cells and take away the electrons from our cell. So when our cell loses electrons, just like the vitamin, it will become oxidized. So this will occur, the oxidization of our cells. So when our cells are oxidized, it is actually considered as damage. So what will happen is they will become weak and old and then they will slowly die. So our body will be lack of healthy cells to help us to maintain our health. So which is why it will cause us sickness because our cells are already affected by this reactive oxygen. However, if we give reducing electron in our body, what will happen is the reducing electron will maintain all the food and vitamins in their reduced form, which is good for our body. So it will help to maintain them into reduced form by eliminating this reactive oxygen. So we use reducing electron to eliminate this so that it will not snatch away the electrons from our vitamins or food. So when it maintains in a reduced form, it will not take away the electron from our cells. So it will prevent our cells from being oxidized. So if we want to prevent the bad cycle from happening, we need to make sure that our body have reducing electron so that our food and the nutrients that we take in will maintain in the reduced form, and also our cells will not be oxidized. So this is the mechanism that I've mentioned just now. You can see here more clear. Oxidized vitamin will snatch electrons from our cells, which will cause our cells to be oxidized and weakened due to the lack of electrons. And this will lead to sickness because our cells are already not healthy. So our body will not be healthy as well. However, if we induce reducing electron, it will help us to eliminate the reactive oxygen as well as to maintain the vitamins and nutrients in their reduced form. So when they are in their reduced form, they consist of electrons which they can provide to our cells to help them to maintain in a healthy state. So here I'd like to share a very interesting experiment as well. So you can see this experiment is regarding the rusting of a metal rod. So you can see in the picture there are two metal rods. The left side is the metal rod which we treated with reducing electron, and the right side is a metal rod which we do not use reducing electron to it. So you can see the difference. The left side one, it does not rust because you can still see the silver color. But the right side one is already rusted, so you can see it's all brown. So do you know why the metal rod with reducing electron does not rust? The reason behind this is because, if you remember, I mentioned previously, reducing electron can help us to remove reactive oxygen. So the reason behind why metal will rust is because we expose them into the external environment, which we have air, and air we have oxygen inside. So if we expose, let's say, a metal outside, the oxygen in the air will slowly oxidize them. But for the metal rod with reducing electron, because it possesses antioxidation effect by eliminating all the reactive oxygen. So in the sense that it will protect the metal rod from being oxidized. That's why you can see the left side, the metal rod with the reducing electron does not rust. So now you can imagine our cells is just like the metal rod. If we have reducing electron in our body, it can prevent our cells from getting rust, which means it will prevent them from being oxidized, become weak, or age, or even die. If we do not have reducing electron in our body, our cells will be like the metal rod on the right side. It will be oxidized, it will rust, it will become old and weak, and will not be able to function. So when this happens, sickness will come to us. So reducing electron is actually the basic requirement of our body. So it's actually found out by the WHO that a human body needs 13 billion of reducing electron per day to be healthy. So since young, we all know that we need water, oxygen, nutrients, protein, carbohydrate, vitamin, fats, and others in order to help us to maintain in a healthy state. But what we do not know that is our human body actually need reducing electron as well. So compared to the long time ago, we are exposed in a very different environment. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of environmental pollution, stress, radiation, UV rays, electromagnetic force. All these kind of factors will actually affect our body, and also will use up the reducing electron in our body. So let's say we do not give back or replenish our body with the reducing electron that it required. We do not have anything to help us to eliminate all the harmful substances like positive ions, reactive oxygen, acid. We do not have anything to help us to eliminate this. So for long term, it will keep accumulate in our body, and then it will lead to sickness. So if we introduce this reducing electron in our body and make sure that every day we have sufficient amount of reducing electron that our body needs, then we have this reducing electron to help us to eliminate all these harmful things, which is why it can help us to maintain a healthy body. So self-defense diagnosis is something very important to us in order to achieve health as well. So what is self-defense? It is actually the strength to avoid diseases which we are naturally born with. So people with strong self-defense power are less likely to develop diseases. If you have a very strong self-defense, you will not get sick easily. So you can see like patients, it doesn't only limited to cancer patients. Some of the patients with heart problems, kidney problems, lung problems, skin problem, they most of them have a weaker self-defense, which is why they got all these diseases happening in their body. So self-defense diagnosis actually consists of the following three elements. The first one is the level of cellular metabolism. So cell metabolism is one of the very important process in our body as well. So for a good cell metabolism, what it does is it helps us to absorb the nutrients into our cell, and our cell will burn and convert them into energy for our body to use, and then the waste product will be excreted out of our body. So in order to make sure that our body is healthy, we have to make sure that this process, which is known as cell metabolism, can occur very well. So let's say if our cell metabolism is very poor, our nutrients will be absorbed into the cell, but our cell will not be able to burn and convert them into energy. So all these nutrients will keep accumulate in the cell, and then for long term, it will slowly be oxidized, and then the internal environment of the cell will become acidic. So what will happen to our cell is that it will become very weak, and then it will age and then slowly die. So in order to prevent this to happen, we have to make sure that our cell metabolism is always at a good state. The second element is the strength of immunity. So we all know that immune system is the most important system in order to help us to fight diseases. Whenever we encounter any virus, bacteria, the first thing our body will do is our immune cells will come out to fight with them. So in order to not get sick easily, we have to make sure that our immunity is always strong. The last element is the level of inflammation sedation. So inflammation is also caused by a lot of factors, like I mentioned, the UV rays, the stress, the radiation, pollution, etc. So if we do not control the level of inflammation in our body, let's say we have a very high level of inflammation, then we will have higher risk in developing diseases. So in order to make sure that we do not get sick easily, we have to make sure that our inflammation level is at a very low or at a optimal level. So in order to have a very strong self-defense, we have to make sure that all these three elements are always at a good level. It's always good and strong. Then in this case, you will have a strong self-defense, which you will be able to fight with diseases. But let's say if one or more of these elements are affected, then your body will be affected as well, because your self-defense power is weaker, which means that you are able to get sick easily. So as a conclusion, reducing electron treatment can actually have a lot of benefits to our body. But here I just listed some that's very important. So I'll just briefly go through them. The first function is to increase our blood circulation, purify blood, restores blood liquid back to weak alkaline, which is 7.45 pH. Like I mentioned just now, weak alkaline is very suitable for our cells to live in. So in order to make sure that our cells are always healthy and strong, we have to make sure that our body liquid always is in the weak alkaline state. And reducing electron treatment can help this. The second is to neutralize the harmful acidic substances in the body. Like I mentioned just now, acidic substances is not good. That's why we need reducing electron to neutralize them and convert them into weak alkaline. Third is to regulate our autonomic nerve system, balance blood pressure, and relieve stress. So autonomic nerve system is very important as well because it controls a lot of our body function, like our blood pressure, our digestion. All these things are controlled by this system. So in order to help it to function well, we have to use reducing electron treatment to regulate them. The fourth one is to repair cells, activate cells, scavenge harmful waste and toxins in our body. So we also don't want any harmful waste or toxins, and we also want our cells to be able to be active. So reducing electron treatment can help this as well. The fifth one is to regulate and balance the electron in our body to create a clean internal environment for cells to live on. So like I mentioned just now, if you want a healthy body, you have to make sure that your electron is balanced. So by using reducing electron treatment, we can help to balance the electron in our body for our cells to survive. The sixth is to enhance resistance and immunity, which is very important to help us to fight diseases. 7 is effectively strengthen the immune system and immune cells such as NK cells, T cells, and B cells. So all these cells are actually very important because they help us to fight with virus and bacteria. So in order to strengthen it and also to make them active, we have to ensure that our body consists of reducing electron. 8 is to reduce bad cholesterol, which is also known as LDL. So for this bad cholesterol, it does not mean that maybe you use once and then your bad cholesterol will go down to normal. So it actually takes time to slowly break down all these bad cholesterol and let them being able to be removed out of our body. So reducing electron treatment can actually help this as well, but it does need some time. 9 is to regulate endocrine system and balance hormones level. So endocrine system is the system that controls our hormone level. So reducing electron treatment can actually regulate this system as well, and to help your hormones to be maintained at a normal level. 10 is antioxidant, facilitate the removal of free radicals, lactic acid, inhibiting oxidation and achieve anti-aging. So like I've said, the reactive oxygen and also acid is very harmful to our body. So in order to prevent oxidation from occur, we have to make sure that our body has reducing electron to help us to eliminate the free radicals and reactive oxygen. 11 is to activate the metabolism, and 12 is to improve absorption of nutrients into cell. So both of these are very important as well because we need our cell metabolism to be good. So these are some of the functions of reducing electron treatment, but of course it does have a lot more benefits to our human body. So our human body is actually made up of 60 to 100 trillions of cells, and cells are the fundamental units of life, health, and beauty. So one thing that's different from other treatment is reducing electron treatment actually targets our cells, which is our fundamental, that allow us to achieve health from the fundamental level. So like when you go to visit doctor when you're sick, they normally give you some medications to help you to ease out the symptoms. So what the medication do is to help you to reduce the symptoms. For example, when you fever, you take Panadol, then your fever will be gone. But it does not target the root of the disease, the cause of the disease. But for reducing electron therapy, it targets our cells, which is from the very fundamental level, the most basic level of our human body. So it's actually targeting the root of disease as well. And reducing electron treatment enhances our body recovery and natural healing power to help us to fight diseases. So it actually let us to use our own power to help us to fight diseases. We do not give you any extra thing that your body doesn't need. What we do is we help your body to be strong and healthy in order for it to be able to use its own power to help you to overcome all the diseases. That's why reducing electron treatment is natural and no side effects, because your body needs this reducing electron. It's something that it requires, not something that extra that we give but your body doesn't need it. Your body needs all this, so which is why when we give it, it will be able to accept this reducing electron. Okay. So for the sharing on reducing electron and the health of our body, I hope that through this sharing you can understand more about our own body, why do we get sick, and why reducing electron is very important for us to be able to have a healthy body. So if you have any further questions or you want to make an appointment as well, you can actually contact the phone number that is provided here, or you want to read up more information regarding this reducing electron treatment, you can also go to our website. We have a lot of information in there as well. So for now, I would like to move on to the Q&A session. So if anyone have any questions, you can type in the chat or you can just unmute and speak up.